Hello, good evening or good day or good whatever time and space dimension you'll see this in, right? My name is Constance. I don't think I ever say that on any of my videos, but that is actually my name. Um, I really enjoy having that name. I've thought for years to change it, but it fits in with my life path numbers. My name basically means constant warrior, and I'm like, that pretty much checks out. It is not that late. I realized in the last video I was like, it's so late. It's like 7 o'clock. It is 5:57 in the evening, and I am like dead tired. Like, I'm sure I look tired. I'm so tired. I just am a summer person, and like every day, just the littlest things make me feel exhausted. Just doing dishes, going to the store. I got propane. I had a great conversation with a friend, and oh, actually, I'm making some tea. I even had to take a nap today, and I still feel tired. I have not been taking my vitamin D like I need to, and clearly it is the support that I really need. And that I need to take it like in the morning and in the evening. That seems to be the regiment where I am not like knocking out by the time the sun goes down. Like I don't even want to eat dinner. Like most days I'm not even eating dinner because by the time it's dinner time, I'm like so tired. So today is day 3 of Kwanzaa. This is probably why I never get anything done this time of year, because I'm just like sleepy. Also, doesn't this water pot, this electric kettle that my mother found, I feel like I am living my best Star Trek Next Generation. I'm a big Next Generation fan, like a really, really big Next Generation fan. Okay, so maybe I'm not as tired as I thought I was. Anyways, I love this water. It just like watching the bubbles go up. It's sort of like having a fish tank without any of the mess. So today is day 3 of a Kwanzaa. Today's collective works, and I was like, oh, you're like the last person who needs to talk about collective works, as in you have kind of been throwing shade to communities like all summer long. But that doesn't mean I can't talk about it anyways. What do I mean by collective work? So all of us together working for a common goal, which I think should be like the betterment of humanity. Like people ask me, I'm a professor, like, well, should people even go to school anymore? And I think that people should. If you go to college, it should be for your own personal inner development. And as a society, I think we should support those that go to school, i.e. school should be free, and your textbook should be free, and your housing should be free, and like you shouldn't have to pay for parking passes and like all this extra stuff. And like I got a ticket at UCF, University of Central Florida, for those who don't know, or if you're dyslexic like me and can't figure out acronyms like ever. I got like a $70 ticket for going to a free park, the Arborarium, but there was no free parking for the free park. So like, what are you doing? Like, what are these schools actually doing? They want to say that they are part of the community and part of the collective works, and yet just to be on the property costs money. How does that help the community? That's something I have been ranting about for a very, very long time. Like the school that I teach at, I asked about how come we don't have a daycare. It seems so preposterous, ludicrous, ridiculous that a public school, a public institution, and a public institution that is geared for like low income, marginalized, women of color, a lot of immigrants. Like, I'm shocked at the amount of students I've met over the last 7 years. Like, before the pandemic, when I was a lot more on the campus and I played in the string ensemble and I designed the shows and substituted sometimes, so I was like on campus a lot. So I really got to know a lot of students, and this was like truly one of my most favorite moments of teaching at Valencia was like this particular season of my life. Let me move this way. Yeah, I feel like I'm like reaching over. So I was at this African American student event. What do they call themselves? Like A squared, like African American Cultural Society. Again, with the acronyms, I'm not good at them, so I can't remember. But I think they called it A squared. Um, like a bunch of black students that were really trying to actually embody collective works. And well, so while I'm with this group, I met all these international students. And actually, speaking on collective works, here's something that they really struggled with in the Orlando community. So Valencia has like 5, maybe 6 campuses. At this point in history, there's only like 4 campuses. This is like circa 2018, maybe 2017. Like 16, 17, 18 was when I was like really in the thick of playing violin, being on campus, designing shows, and sometimes I would even substitute teach the theatrical makeup class. Yeah, so at this point, there's only like 4 campuses. And the main 2 campuses are East Campus, which is the art campus, and West Campus, which is the more like technical engineering computer campus. But that is kind of broken away a little bit as the school has grown. I'm going to take a sip of water. You know you're a Pisces when you're drinking water while also waiting for water to boil. And you also have water behind you. And I kind of live adjacent to a lake. I just have to keep things moist. So, the point of the story is that there were 2 different, completely separate African American cultural societies. There was an East one and a West one. And I was like, why? And they were like, well, because there's like different things. And I was like, well, I mean, I see the need for having like programming on both campus, because there are students that go through their entire time and they're like, I've only been to East Campus once to sign up and like get my ID and take a picture, and then the rest of my time was all at West Campus, and vice versa, and now it's spread into like all the other campuses, and so I was like, but other than that, like, why wouldn't you have like board members that are from both campuses? Like, that makes sense, so that you're working together. And then the president, I wish I could remember her name. She was vegan, and she used to work at what's it called? East End Market at the Raw place, Skybird. Oh my god, I can't remember. I remembered all this, except I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. I wish I could remember your name, sister. But she was really cool, and she was like, we need to actively work together. She's like, we need to have one. This was her plan. She wanted to have one African American Cultural Society, or whatever the new name would be, for both West Campus at Valencia, East Campus Valencia, and University of Central Florida, or UCF for short. Because she's like, we all are facing the exact same type of issue. She's like, every time I go on any campus, I'm hearing students tell me the exact same things. Like, they're feeling discriminated against by their by other students. Yes, actually. Wow, that was a slip, but that was like very true. Thank you. They feel discriminated against by other students. So when it comes to group projects, whether it's having to take on more work than what they should, because if they don't, they're going to get blamed for it, or is it the project is not accessible to them, and so that kind of points out like the classes difference, or is it just that the people just don't think that they're qualified to be in the group, and they make the minority student jump through unnecessary hoops to prove to somebody in the same class at the same level that they are worthy to be in the group with them. Like, classism and racism in academia is so thick, and it's in like all of these little itty bitty, just like, in my mind, I think of it as like I honestly think of like racism and white supremacy as like an infection on this planet. And so just like an infection, it slowly starts to like, like if you got stabbed here and it got infected, and how you would see like the poison from the infection and the bacteria slowly starts to like eat the good flesh. Like that's how universities honestly have a lot. There's a lot more poisonous, venomous things happening in universities than just people actually growing healthy cells and like learning how to be this new person now that they have embarked on this long intellectual journey. You know, some people are in school forever, like forever, and that's great. Some people keep coming and going and coming and going. Some people come in, they get what they need, and they get out. And I think that colleges should be able to host all of these different people, but not when we have this racism, not when we have discrimination, and not when we have classism. It actually stops the collective works. Like we actually heard feedback from students at the like wealthier school, which would be UCF, that like they really didn't want to participate with the students at Valencia because they felt like because they paid more for their schooling, they should have something that's different and better, and like, well, our money is going here, and like, where's your money? And I kept saying, listen, baby cakes, it's all public school. Valencia and UCF are all one school. That's why your credits go back and forth. Like, they already got your mind, kids. Like, the whole point, like, teaching, like, I realized, like, we had to teach, like, Liberation 101. And when we got to the Kwanzaa thing, it was like a mess. I feel like by the time we got to Kwanzaa in this particular semester, we were trying to get things together. It was like nobody was talking to each other and everything just kind of fell apart. And that's part of the journey. That's part of like us African Americans. Like we have to heal our post-traumatic slave syndrome. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you've never seen Dr. Joy DeGruy's book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, great book, hard to listen to. Actually, I highly recommend finding some of her talks on YouTube. She's like not a YouTuber, so all of the videos I've ever found have been, oh, the water's ready. This water's probably ice cold by now. I completely forgot what I was doing. All the videos of her on YouTube are like other people, so sometimes the audio isn't that great, sometimes it's kind of cut out, but the information is really good, and I think it's a good intro because if you haven't been reading a lot of Afro-pessimism, which is a thing that nobody really knows about, you have to be like a super nerd. Like, allow me to be a super duper nerd, black nerd, and talk about Afro-pessimism. So, Afrofuturism, which everyone's familiar with, especially the new Kindred show. I haven't seen it. I don't know. I'm like so hesitant to watch it. I just need to get over it. I haven't finished the book. That's probably what it is I started the book and I haven't finished it, and I kind of want to finish the book before I jump into the show. Yes. Let's just tell the truth. Hold on. Let me put this away. Okay. I also have moringa here. You probably am wondering what's this been in the way background. Oh, the moringa. Moringa shot. Ah! My mom grew this moringa in our little alley. That's what she calls it. It probably smells like incense. It was right next to where I was burning incense earlier today. It smells amazing. This is from our little bitty baby moringa tree. Because it got cold here, my mom decided to just go ahead and like harvest it. But I just like love the way it looks. Like, oh, it's so pretty. Ah! Okay, I'm gonna pause here and come back. So let's see, it's 6:12 now, and I'll let this tea sit here and marinate. It's actually infuse. That's like the technical term. But I actually like calling it marinating because why not? Marinates. That's what I call it when I'm walking in the swamps and you step in the leaves and you're like, and it makes that like squishing sound. I'm like, yep, they're marinating. And like the methane from the like, I'm from Florida. I'm clearly from Florida, right? Because who else has deep love for swamp mud and methane gas and old leaves like I do? Just a swamp person, you know. Okay, so what was I saying? I was talking about Afro-pessimism. So Afro-pessimism, as the word implies with pessimism, it is basically like, don't fight the system. It's kind of like stoicism, but blacker, and about slavery. It says like, yeah, it sucks to be black. What can you do? All we can do is just keep going and be thankful that we keep going. That's it. And there is some kind of like release about it. There is definitely like you ain't gotta go to every protest. You don't have to take off your cape. Relax. Go take a nap, because this is bigger than you, and you're not gonna get it done in your lifetime. Like, your children's children's children will probably not see the end of capitalism. They will probably not see a healthy earth. They may not have water and air and, you know, like health as like a concept could be lost. Like if our health system collapses or something. And yet, being black means that somehow you will get through it. Now, I don't know if she necessarily, Dr. Joy DeGruy, or Dr. DeGruy, I guess I could just call her Joy for fun, but I'm not gonna be disrespect the sister like that. She's very intelligent. Dr. Joy, how about that? Dr. Joy, I don't know if she necessarily identifies with Afro-pessimism, but I feel like reading her book, and then from this other text that is, I don't remember her name, but she wrote this book called Losing Your Mother, like a journey through the transatlantic slave trade. I can't finish that book. Just thinking about that book makes my nose itch. Hold on. Ugh. Slavery makes me sneeze. What can I say? Yes, so I don't know if Dr. Joy necessarily identifies as an Afro-pessimist, but I definitely pick up on notes. Now, this other book I was saying, Losing Your Mother, oh my God. I remember reading it on this plane, and I was like bawling so hard. The stewardess didn't even offer me like a soda. Like, it's like she looked at me and was like, no, I don't even want to know. Like, she was just like, no, I don't want to know. And just let me sit there thirsty and crying. This is America, people. So that other book is like a almost too intimate details of every moment from being a freed person to being captured and put through the slave castle, and like that chamber by chamber by chamber process, and like going into the psychology of like why it had to be this many months, why it had to be this dark, why you had to starve them, why you had to separate them, like all of these things, and like all of the violence, like the sexual violence and all this other, like I was just like, I can't read this. And then I think I got as far as talking about the slave jumps, like people just jumping into the water. I was like, I'm out. I just couldn't take it anymore. I can't believe I read all the way through getting from being freed to on the boat, because just that process alone it's the most traumatic, because it's supposed to be the most traumatic. So that way when you like show up, you're just like so deeply disoriented that it's hard for you to even conceive of trying to fight back. And that's the whole point. Like the process is terrible because it is a process. It is exactly like all the other processes and the systems that we have today is rooted in this system. That's why everything is just kind of terrible. Like everything is terrible. Like look at the medical industry. Why do they treat people like that? Like, aren't y'all supposed to be helping people? And yet people get treated like this. It's like, well, every single system in this country is based on the first system of this country, which is slavery. I didn't sneeze. post-traumatic slave syndrome is that now that you have survived the most horrific thing that humans could do to each other. Oh my God, this water is so hot. It just like flicked on me and like actually burnt. Like, I don't know, Chefman, I wish this was sponsored by this company because they make like the hottest water ever. It's so freaking hot. Whew. Okay. So, yeah, post-traumatic slave syndrome is about the after effects. So now that you have lost all sense of personhood, all sense of community, all sense of family, all sense of trying to pull together. And I'm not saying loss is like it didn't happen. Like, of course, there were slave revolts. There's Harriet Tubman. Like, I'm giving like the like I'm very sleepy and it's almost 7 o'clock and I need to put my tired, sleepy self to bed and maybe eat dinner. I think I really need to eat dinner. Maybe that will like help calm me down. Oh, I need a spoon. Oh, there's one right here. That's right. I did dishes. Hey. So that we still have this trauma. And oh my goodness, I see it everywhere. I see it in my own family. I see it in other black families. I see it from like black kid to black kid, black woman to black woman. Do y'all ever watch that show, Ayala Van Zant's Fix My Life? I really do enjoy that show. It is black family trash. It is like, y'all drawers been torn and they ain't gonna be mended. They ain't gonna be mended. But I just really like Ayala Van Zant a lot. I haven't really, to be perfectly honest, I've read none of her books. I've listened to a lot of her talks. She's a lot of, it's not quite preaching. It's not quite teaching. It's ministering. It's like what us African black women do. We have this sort of way. I mean, I'm doing it right now. It's like half making sense, half not making sense, but you're learning and somebody's gonna get healed because I'm excited that you're gonna get healed because you watched this and therefore it's going to happen. And that's kind of like how Ayana Van Zant's like energy is in this show. She'll like snatch her wig off. She'll like take off her eyelashes. She's like, oh, this get real, like take her bra off of the show and like put on her priestess robe and she'll bring in like other black women to like be guides. And I'm just like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But that show is basically just the book. It's like how to, okay, so we have one book is like what it is. And then the show is like how to heal it. And it's a lot of family therapy. It's really, really hard. But we also see it in our communities. It's why we could have 3 groups with the exact same mission, with the exact same pool of students. See how I'm bringing this back here? With the exact same pool of people thinking that they each need a separate group because their black student issues are blacker and studentier and more important and cost more than their other students right over here. And I'm just like, listen, baby cakes. The school I went to was more expensive than all these schools put together. And I was discriminated against by the faculty, by the other students, and get this, by random groups of white men. Like, they actually would follow us on campus and just yell obscenities at us. And when we went to the school said, there's nothing we can do because they're just people on the sidewalk. And that's their like amendment right to just like yell obscenities at black students. And they were like black obscenities, right? So I'm just like, don't tell me y'all don't have real issues. And also don't tell me that like your school is more expensive and so your issues are different. I'm just like, no, we're all talking about supremacy. We're all talking about supremacy. We're all talking about how we need to work together. But then it's like they couldn't understand that their togetherness was beyond the boundary of the school. Which now looking back, like as I'm saying, all this is kind of like coming together of just like we really, really, really did not talk enough about liberation. And that's really what it was. Like we talked so much about all these other things, but we didn't really get into liberation. We didn't really get to break down like black patriarchy. And that's really the main thing that we were running up against because, oh my God, black men will tear a movement apart for just the fun of it. that's what it seems at times. I'm just like, wait, so you really would rather us not go forward just to stop a woman president? Like, you really, really would choose no progress for anybody just to stop a woman from being in charge? And I say that for many reasons, from like past historical reasons, if you know your African American history, and then also just looking at these group of like 18 to like 25-year-olds trying to like figure out how they can take what, and I really admire them. Like, they were really trying to take all of the textbook stuff that they were learning at school and apply it into their community. But until we actually get down in there and deal with like black male patriarchy, patriarchy within women, patriarchy within our religion, patriarchy in this, patriarchy in the community, until we break this all down, we're never gonna actually have like true, and I'm afraid to say pure because it sounds like, I don't know, too much at all, but no, we're never gonna have like pure of heart, like just like a baby, like a fat baby cherub. Like, that's the kind of collective community I want to be in. Like, everyone is staring there like a fat little naked cherub because their souls have brought them here, and their purpose for being here is for the highest and best good for themselves, which in turn is for the highest and best good for the collective. But we are really caught up in this, like, I have to oppress myself to be good, to be in the community, and that's not it at all. Not at all. But Orlando isn't unique in this issue. I see this issue in every single black community that I'm in. I just wanted to use an example that was like local and specific, especially because this was also a group that taught me a lot about Kwanzaa too. They were really excited about it and really into it, and they would have like their whole like Kwanzaa set up and like do different things in the arts and entertainment building. I was like, what is that building? Building 3? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Oh my gosh, it's so late. It's almost 6:30. I can't believe I'm still awake. Okay, let me try this tea. It turned out actually pretty dark. You kind of like never really know sometimes with herbs and mixing them. But I have like 3 bags of mint to a whole mess of moringa, and I love moringa. It's one of my favorite plants. I love how, okay, so moringa with mint makes this very grassy, almost like lemongrass tea, without the lemon, but definitely all of that almost like wheatgrass, but only the sweet notes of wheatgrass without any of the bitter notes of wheatgrass, paired with the peppermint. But when I pair it with other stuff, like, it is just, I swear, it's just like an adaptogen. Like, it's not under the list of adaptogens, but in my herbalist books, in my soul, and in my notebooks, it's totally an adaptogen. I mean, it cleans water. It's good for everything. Like, I could do a whole documentary, like that TikTok trend that's like, what's a topic you could talk about for 30 minutes, like on the spot without like having to do any research? Moringa. I could talk forever about the healing and miraculous properties of moringa and how it is like everywhere you go. I only want to live in places where moringa grows. Let's say that, because it is a plant that I want to just have around me because it is protective. I feel like it's energetically protective. It also makes tons of firewood. The oil, the seeds, the roots, the bark, the leaves, the flowers, like, there is no part of this tree that is not medicinal. So these are like the little tender baby leaves with some mint leaves, and it tastes delicious. So this is my talk about collective works and how it's really hard. If you didn't get that at this point, I think that's really what I wanted to say, is that it is incredibly hard because we're fighting against so many systems. Hard doesn't mean you shouldn't try, but I think you should know what you're fighting against and the intricate details of like the system, and just like, how do we heal ourselves? Like, collective work What is that work? I think it's healing trauma. Personally, I think that that is the collective work right now, is that we, the people on the planet, have to refocus on healing ourselves. Like, we don't have any more time. And I really firmly believe, this is like the craziest, wildest, like Pisces dream ever, but I really do believe it, that like, if we actually focus on ourselves, like if self-care became actual priority, then the planet would start healing. It's kind of the whole thing about being vegan. It's like, once it's like I decided to be vegan, the lens of focus of my life changed, and then it was like making other choices about what I should and shouldn't do, where I should and shouldn't go. The rhythm of my life became a lot easier, and it's like I could see my impact because I wasn't being all kind of like dysregulated, because I was focusing in on me and like what I wanted, what nourished me, what made me feel good, what didn't make me feel good. And coming into a community without knowing thyself is useless. Like, it is truly useless, because you're going to just take resources from the community because you haven't done your own work. So, to end this, what is the process of collective work? I would say the process of getting to collective work is know thyself. Know who you are. And this whole pandemic has really helped me step back, because I would have not been able to have this whole analysis of those years of trying to see this group and being involved with it if I haven't been out of it, to know how I impacted, what things should I have done more, and points and parts that should have been, we should have really been talking about patriarchy more. We absolutely should have been talking about patriarchy more, because at the end of the day, that is what killed the group. It is. So, what's the process? The process is know thyself, love thyself, really love yourself. Put yourself first. So, you put on your mask in the airplane first, and then you help your community. That is collective work. You help yourself. So, I have my water, I have my love, I have my little healing crystals and my moringa. And now from this point, I can now give moringa to somebody else. Somebody else can do something for another person because they have everything that they need, and now they have surplus for their community. And that is, to me, what collective work really should look like, and what I would like to see. But for now, I am really happy with almost like collective working myself. Like, I'm just deeply in this like self-love state, but putting all of my own artistic energies, like as I was saying yesterday, like all of the different parts of me, the music, the visual art, like the collective work, my internal work right now is putting all these pieces together so that I can be a better, more well-rounded and grounded, holistic, and very powerful artist. So thank you for listening. I'm going to drink my tea and turn off all of these really bright lights and go lay down. It's officially 6:33. Perfect timing. I love you all. Boy.